know, when summer saving time comes along and we change our clocks, the days are growing longer and we all of us start to look for adventure and for a new life and all the rest of it. Bill had left home and left his wife Maria at home while he went off to look for more work. At least that's what he told his creditors, because he wouldn't pay anybody. Bill, you see, was what you call an entrepreneur nowadays, but in times gone by he was known as a pure chancer. And what he did was he did business with everybody and paid nobody anything, and he kept their cash as long as he could, and he kept it in the form of cash, in a safe, in his house. So to escape his creditors and to get a bit of peace of mind for a while, off he went and said he was looking for pastures new and new challenges, and he would pay everybody when he came back, which left Maria in her house on her own. On the weekend of summer saving time, when we change our clocks, the doorbell rang, and there, standing on the door step when she opened the door, was her adventure in the form of Tony, who explained quite quickly and succinctly and well and softly that he was in fact a collector for a charitable organisation seeking to help a stricken community in need of some small donations. And would she be interested in talking to him about it? So, well, of course, he looked like a charitable chap himself, with his suit out of a charity shop and his Gansey out of a charity shop. So she brought him in, and Maria made him coffee and made him sit down in her over-furnished lounge. And she asked him what he wanted, and he said, well, it's just a very small amount, you see. He said, that cup of coffee, he said, the cost of that cup of coffee, multiplied by days, by weeks, by months, and even by a year, paid out in a direct debit to the charity, goes an awful long way, he said, an awful long way to helping people who can't help themselves for the moment. What I'm really looking for is patronage from people through direct debit. Well, afterwards, Maria thought it was the word patron that did it, because she wanted to be a patron, really she did, but she didn't know what a patron was. Well, who does? What is a patron? We don't know, really, do you? And so she thought perhaps it was something like, well, she'd have to get a new outfit and she'd have to be like walking through a stricken community like, well, she supposed like Bob Geldof, because she know what the references. She thought maybe that was it. She walked through it and everybody would be happy and talking to her as the patron. So she said she would, and she signed up straight away, and she told Tony her friends would sign up. And he said, well, that's wonderful. I'm glad I called in your house today. So she gave him more coffee, and they were sitting there for a while, and she said to him, do patrons get to visit the community? He said, of course. They set up direct flights and charter flights and budget flights and everything else. And she said, do you go? Because I'd like to go whenever you're going, and, you know, you can show me around and all the rest of it. And he says, well, sadly, he said, I don't go. He says, because the amount of money that's collected goes entirely to the charity, and I only keep an infinitesimal amount in commission. He said, I couldn't afford to go. So Maria had a great idea. So she said, hold on, stay there. So she went off and she made sure that her appearance was right and her hair was right and her makeup was right, and she went out to the garage and she opened up Bill's safe, and she had to turn the dial, the combination, and turn it back again, and then she had to open up the thing and get the safe out, and she put her hand in and she took out a wad of money and she closed the door again. And when she turned around, standing behind her was Tony, after seeing everything. And she said, oh, and he said, I'm very sorry for frightening or startling you. He said, I was just looking for a bathroom. Oh. So she changed, she relaxed altogether, and she said, well, why not use the bathroom in my bedroom? It's en suite, she said, for handiness. So he said, thank you, and off he went, and now he knew where her bedroom was. So when he came back, she insisted that he take the wad of money and use it, she said, to fund the flight, and let her know when the flight was, and she would make sure that she would go herself and accompany him, and he could tell her everything that happened in the community since she began her patronage. And he said he would. One word borrowed another. There was more coffee. She got a couple of glasses. She got a bottle of wine, Bill's good wine, poured it out. They had wine. He stayed for dinner. He stayed the night, and Maria was well pleased with herself by then. And she forgot some little detail. And the night passed. She slept away, and when she awoke, the house was silent, and she thought, it's very quiet for a house with two people in it. And she looked around and the room was empty. And her jewellery box was empty, and her purse was empty, and her credit cards were gone. And she looked at her clock, and she realised she hadn't changed her clock, and she said, well, the alarm must have gone off an hour earlier or an hour late, but what about it? And she ran down the stairs and she ran out into the garage, and she found that Bill's safe was also empty. The bird had flown the coop. Tony was gone, and the adventure was over. And all Maria could think of was how was she going to explain to Bill where his money had gone for want of summer saving time.